Alright, so welcome back to this video. In the last one, we saw how we could connect to the API and actually pull some data out. So now the next step is to actually to make some sense of that information. So if you go back to the website here and you look at the short endpoint, we can see some more information about what we are going to be receiving from the Dribbble API, here. So here we're going to see that we're getting like an ID, a title, a description, and some information about the images, right? So now what we need to do is create a class that's going to actually hold this information. All right, so let's go back to Xcode and create a new class called shot.swift. So I'm going to right click on that, create a new file, put it in the Dribbble API folder. Alright, so that's going to be our new class. So let's start populating this class with some code so we can see how that works. Okay, so here we've created some variables which are going to use to access all the information that we're going to get back from the API. So we're going to have an ID, a title, date, description. These are strings, the ID are integers. The number of comments, number of likes, views, and then the comment URL, and then the image URL. And then lastly, we're going to have a image data, which is actually going to hold the data for that we get from the image URL. All right, so then now we need to initialize these information from the dictionary which we get back. So this is going to come back as an NS dictionary. So if you go back here and actually create an init method, so here you can see we've created an init method, right? And that method takes in an NS dictionary. And then we're going to have more, we're going to now start pulling data from that dictionary back as into our variables. So here, for example, we have the ID key of that dictionary. We're going to save that as self.id. So we can see that's the information that we get here. That's the ID. The title is going to be the same thing, which is down here. You can see the title uses a method called getString from JSON, which I'm going to show you how that works in a moment. But then the idea is we're going to implement. But then the idea is we're going to actually pull out information from that dictionary. So here, all the integers will come out here. And then we get the date information and then the description. And lastly, we need to implement the getString from JSON method. So this is a simple helper method that actually goes into an NS dictionary. It checks using Swift, right? So it goes in here and checks if there's an information in that key, right? So we're going to have a key. If there is information, it's going to return that. If not, it's going to return an empty array. There are other ways of doing this, but then this is how I find the easiest way to deal with optionals in JSON. Actually, from what I see, I can see that we probably don't even need that first line actually. So we can go in here and say if let info equals data key and then a string, and then this is going to be a null info. This is going to be null, or it's not going to go into the if clause if that info is nil, and then we return an empty string, or else we return the information. All right, so for example, here we say title get string from JSON, the data information, and then the title is the key that we want to access. All right, so that's our class called shot, which is going to hold all the information in one of the shots that have been posted on Dribbble. So how to use this? The next step is to go into our Dribbble API, and then this is where we want to start handling information. We are going to get information in this data variable when the API returns. So let's put in some information. Let's put in some code there. So when we return from the data task with URL method, we're going to now use the NSJSON serialization class to actually get our information. So we're going to call JSON object with data on that, and then it's going to return an array of shots, and this is going to be an array of dictionaries, right? Now the next step is to actually create actual shot variables from these dictionaries. So we'll start out by creating a new variable which is called shots, which is going to be an array of shots there, and then we initialize it with an empty array, and then we now loop into this array here and then try to get each dictionary from that array and then create a new shot method, sorry, a new shot class. So this is going to be our init function, and then so we're going to call shot data as dictionary. So this now goes into this method that we have here, and then it's going to try and pull out the information from the dictionary. Okay, so at the end we're going to append this class into our array, and then before we return we're going to use Grand Central dispatch and then try to return this information back on the main queue. So that's what we're going to do here, and then we're going to call the completion method with our shots array, which is going to be that completion method there. So we should be good to go now. So if you run this in the app on the phone, let's see what we get from here. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here and then actually run this. In our view did load method, you can see that I've called the load shots method, and then we are here. So if we actually try to inspect the dictionary that we get back, so you can see we actually get our nice JSON files back in there. And then if we run that even further to where we plan to return, and then we print out a shots method. So now we're printing out the shots method. So now we see that we have 12 values in there, and each of them has actually information about our shots. Alright, so that's very successful now. This is the third video in this series. So in the next video, we're actually going to now start displaying these shots on a user interface, and then we should be able to start seeing something happen. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video.